Hello everyone! Welcome to an early Halloween special under the guise slash name of Trick or Treating. Of course, I had to do it for TeruShouEnnoTana because, yes, I hope you're looking forward to seeing them again. I was super excited about writing this, and if you've been around my channel for a bit longer, you know, I like to have the plot lines stretch over several stories. So, with that said, let's get into this. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch my videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. The time right before Halloween had never been Dashio's favorite before. Perhaps it was because he never cared about Halloween itself, and it quickly got annoying when no one talked about anything else for the whole week or so. But this time, things were different. This time, he was surrounded by people he loved, and whose infectious excitement wasn't letting him fall into the usual grumpy mood. And he couldn't be happier about it. Suguru, do you have flour around you somewhere? I swear I just saw it. Smiling, Dashio pushed the container with flour towards Enoshita, a soft chuckle bubbling in his throat when his boyfriend facepalmed over his damned blindness. He couldn't recall ever having so much fun while cooking, well, baking, with someone as right now with Enoshita. It was heartwarming to share his passion with someone, even though Enoshita continued to claim he was no good in the kitchen. They both knew it wasn't the case. A white lie Enoshita created to make him feel useful since cooking was one of the very few things he could contribute to the household. But he appreciated the effort to make him feel included, and perhaps maybe a little bit special. "Oh, these look amazing!" He startled when Terushima's lively voice sounded next to his ear, almost dropping the plate with cookies he just finished decorating. Terushima had the decency to look guilty even before Enoshita shot him a warning glare, his puppy eyes rendering Daishio unable to be upset about the scare. As if he could ever be upset at Yuji. "Sorry, I just got excited. They look awesome!" Daishio swatted his hand away from the still undecorated cookies. "I'm happy you like them, but wait for a bit, they're still warm." "But warm are the best." "Yeah, best to cause you stomach issues." "Wait a few minutes. What are you, a child?" Terushima pouted and wrapped his arms around Dashio's waist, nuzzling into the crook of his neck. "Sugu, help me. I'm being bullied." "You are being taken care of, Yuji. Take one of the cold ones." "But it's such a shame to eat those. They are so cute." "I can always make more." He gently ruffled Terushima's hair, warmth wrapping around his heart when Terushima no less than purred with happiness and snuggled closer to him. Pausing, he glanced hesitantly at Enoshita, but to his relief, he was met with a soft smile with no other emotion than love attached. "What are you two even doing there? I thought you were decorating." "We were, but Ryu said there's a good horror on the TV now, so we are watching. Do you want to join? It's supposed to be really good." "No thanks, I'm much happier here." Dashio had to agree. He didn't need more nightmare fuel. He had enough of it already. He shivered, desperately chasing the resurfacing memories away before they could cause any harm. Yet, Terushima still seemed to notice the moment of hesitation and gently bumped their foreheads together. "Okay, we will call you when we find something nice." "Yuji, come on, it's starting." With a last nudge to Dashio's side and a quick kiss on Enoshita's cheek, Terushima skipped out of the kitchen, stealing 2 cookies along the way. Dashio rolled his eyes, but the fond smile curling his lips couldn't be contained. You could go watch it. I don't mind cooking alone. Enoshita shrugged. I know, but I would much rather help you out than watch some stupid slasher or whatever they found. I'm not the biggest fan of horrors anyway. He smiled, holding a spoon with frosting in front of Dasho's mouth. Now, tell me if this tastes good. In less than an hour, they successfully finished their daily baking session, ending up with 4 plates of cookies and a new batch of spooky cupcakes Enoshita looked rightfully proud of. He gently nudged Dasho's shoulder, motioning to the living room from where they could hear an occasional yelp, though if of excitement or fear, Dasho couldn't tell. Let's go take a look at what those two created. I'm sure it's going to look great. We will see. They have a tendency to goof around and make a mess out of everything when they are decorating. At least they are having fun. The softest smile imaginable curved Enoshita's lips, his eyes getting a sort of dreamy look for a moment. Yeah, I guess that's the important part, right? He draped his arm around Daosho's shoulders. Come on then, maybe they'll surprise us. Daosho swallowed the note that he could only be surprised since this was his first Halloween, or any other holiday, with them as a couple, and let Enoshita lead him to the living room. They were met with a sight of orange, black and white, all put together surprisingly neatly, with the pumpkins, bats and spiderwebs finding their place around the shelves, tables and windows. Terushima and Tanaka were sitting on the couch, their eyes fixed firmly on the screen, while they blindly shared the snacks Daisho caught Terushima stealing throughout the last hour. It was an endearing sight, and for a moment it made Daisho long for something he didn't have a name for, nor knew the reason for. But the ache wasn't unpleasant in any way, on the contrary, and he found himself wishing they could spend more time like this. What's so interesting about this that you don't even acknowledge your boyfriend's coming in? Tanaka waved his hand around as if looking for something, his eyes still glued to the TV screen. Shh, now it's getting really interesting. The murderer is in the house and that woman has no idea. Rolling his eyes, Enoshita swatted Tanaka's hand away, apparently offended he was put in second place by a horror movie. Daisho chuckled quietly to not disturb the two, but kept his eyes away from the TV, trying to ignore the images his mind supplied him with Tanaka's description of the scene. Of course they had to choose an intruder horror of all things. Then both watchers groaned when, in the most intense moment, the tense music was changed to a song from an advert. Only then did Terushima lean back to capture Daisho's hand. Wanna join us? It's really intriguing. No thanks. I don't see how a slasher can be intriguing. Okay, maybe it doesn't have the most original plot, but it's so cool. And so creepy too. The murderer always waits for the victim to be alone and then breaks into the house too. Daisho looked away and covered his ears, refusing to listen further. No matter how much he tried to convince his mind it was just a movie, the description hit too close to home to leave him calm. He flinched when someone touched his forearms, but his gaze only met Enoshita's eyes, a shadow of annoyance flashing over his face when he turned to the two. Okay, that's enough. I'm not watching for a reason, and I don't need your review. He turned back to Daisho, his face softening. Come on, we don't need to listen to them. With that, he tugged on Daisho's hand and, without a single look back, led him out on the patio, now illuminated by several small pumpkin-shaped lights. The usually quiet clap of the door suddenly sounded like a gunshot to Daisho's ears. He let out a shaky breath, pulling on all his mental strength to calm down. Sorry, He fell silent when Enoshita cupped his cheeks, gently brushing his thumb over his cheekbones. Don't apologize. Everything okay? Yeah, it reminded me of... Of past. Figured. You know you can tell us to shut up or go away if we trigger you with something, right? That's a bit harsh, isn't it? Letting out one last deep breath, he settled opposite Enoshita, wrapping one of the blankets around himself against the sneaking cold. He couldn't possibly say something like that to his boyfriends, right? Especially since it wasn't their fault he was broken. He couldn't ask his partners to always accommodate his problems. Sighing, Enoshita covered his hand with his. I know what you are thinking, and no, it's not too harsh. You are our partner, Suguru, so the least we can do for you is to not hurt you further. So, until you are ready to tell us more about all those awful things that Bastard did to, feel free to express any boundaries you need. We won't take it personally, I promise. Daishio's brain short-circuited. He wasn't sure what to say, or if he even could say anything without crying. Perhaps it didn't seem like much, but to him, it meant everything. Enoshita smiled at him, apparently feeling what closure he came to, and patted his hand. There you go. All good now. But take another blanket over you. You are getting cold already. That's because you are keeping my arm away from the warmth. Should I let go? No, please. Yeah, thought so. The door behind Enoshita opened, and out waddled still a bit guilty-looking Terushima. He shivered when the cold bit into his skin, but the object of his interest seemed to be only Daishio. What's wrong? Is the movie over already? No, not yet. I just wanted to apologize. I didn't realize I was hitting an injury. I'm sorry, Sugu, really. I know. Don't worry about it, it's fine. Want to join us? Before Terushima could answer, Tanaka pushed him a bit forward so he could walk through the door too. Gladly. The movie's getting repetitive anyway. Traitor. Somehow, the week leading up to Halloween flew by like nothing. Daishio attributed that to Terushima's drive to help him decorate the various sweets they prepared, and also Tanaka's need to show off to his coworkers with the decorations. And of course, to Enoshita and his constant reassuring presence. For the first time since Halloween became a prominent holiday in Japan, he felt like he could genuinely enjoy it with everything it had to offer, including trick-or-treating. Don't give out too many candy before we get home. Enoshita rolled his eyes, gently smacking Terushima's head. It's not for you. You have other sweets here. Terushima tried to unsuccessfully hide the light blush on his cheeks, his eyes turning to Daishio once again, pleading. Sugu, he's bullying me again. What do you want me to do? We all know you just want to snatch the best candy for yourself. Huffing, Terushima turned his back on both of them. The effect of his grand exit from the living room dampened when he stumbled over the carpet and almost face-planted on the floor. Careful. Oh, now you care about my well-being? A bit late, my dear. A little too late. I'm already hurt. So dramatic. Daishio chuckled at Terushima's offended gasp before handing Enoshita his and Terushima's lunchbox. Take care. The lightest of kisses landed on his cheek. He shivered a bit, but there was no voice in his head urging him to move away anymore. The realization made his heart jump in his chest, and while regular romantic kisses were still out of the question for him, he was excited about even that little advancement. I don't think you should open too much when we are out. He snapped out of the excited thoughts, surprised by Tanaka's tone. Why? Humming, Tanaka grabbed his lunch, his face scrunched as if he was thinking hard about something. Or angry. They are raising awareness around here because of some recent wave of break-ins. So maybe wait for us until we get home. Who knows what bastard could ring here? Ice-cold chills ran down Dashiell's spine. You think someone would try to break in? Tanaka caressed his hand, briefly squeezing it as his face softened. I don't know. Maybe not. But I don't want to risk it. So just be careful here, okay? I don't think the kids will start going around earlier than when one of us gets home anyway. True, but just in case, make sure everything is locked, okay? And call when something happens. Dashiell nodded, for a moment unable to form a coherent thought, let alone a sentence. And while feeling the care about his well-being in his boyfriend's words warmed his heart, the mention of a break-in made him slightly nauseous. Okay, I will. The light touch of his partner's lips on his cheeks tingled on his skin long after the door closed behind them, leaving him alone in the house. For the first time in several months, he wished he wasn't the only one not having practice that day. Or at least that one of his boyfriends had a free day too. Alas, he couldn't change the schedules. It's fine. Ryu said it was just raising awareness. That doesn't have to mean anything. Calming himself down with that, he carried on with his usual routine, mentally pushing time to move faster. The dark was already set outside when he finished with his daily exercise, adding to the spooky atmosphere of Halloween. Despite his usual need for light, Dashiell decided to use the opportunity and left the lights turned off, only lighting up the various candles and pumpkins situated around the house. The blinking fires gave off enough light to guard him against the potential panic, but not enough to ruin the atmosphere. A perfect balance, indeed. They weren't the only ones who got into decorating, and looking out of the kitchen window, he had to admit their street looked amazing. Pity it's just once a year, but I bet New Year's is going to be incredible too. He couldn't help but smile. It had been quite some time since he looked forward to any holidays, but with his boyfriend by his side, anything seemed possible. He was just about to start making dinner for them, when something hard and cold pressed against the side of his head. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Dashiell's stomach rolled. The disgusting, overly sweet purr by his ear reminded him of everything he wished so desperately to forget, as did the hot breath ghosting over his skin. He gripped the edge of the sink to stop his hands from trembling, but the still present cold pressure on his skull didn't allow him to think clearly, and nor did the man standing behind him. Aww, cat got your tongue? Or are you that scared? Dashiell pressed his lips together, but even that couldn't stop the weak whimper from leaving his mouth. His heart almost stopped when, in the reflection of the window, he spotted a dark outline of the stranger's faceless head behind his. What do you want? The hair on the back of his neck rose with the other's snicker. It's Halloween, isn't it? And we should keep up the Halloween spirit. So, trick? Dashiell flinched at the strange, metallic click. Or treat. The time as if stopped, and yet it raced forward twice as fast. Unable to control the trembling running through his body, Dashiell clenched his jaw and closed his eyes, feeling the first tear stinging behind his eyelids, and waited. For the longest while, no one spoke. Until... Treat! He squeezed his eyes even more, a pathetic tiny whimper leaving his mouth when the other purred another short laugh. The gun moved against his head, and he cowered instinctively, despite knowing it was useless. And then, all pressure against his head disappeared. He stayed frozen in place, still waiting for the gunshot to sound, but there was nothing. Still trembling, he hesitantly looked over his shoulder, finding the space behind him empty. He turned around fully, but there was no one behind him. He heard no footsteps, no doors being closed, nothing. And yet, he was alone again, as if nothing ever happened. A dull thought echoed through the kitchen as his knees buckled under him and sent him to the floor. Tears spilled from his eyes, a tortured cry tearing out of his mouth. He curled into a ball, the sobs wrenching with his body as his mind got fully hit with what just happened to him. Why again? Suddenly, a sound other than his crying reached his ears. Someone was calling his name. He was almost sure of it. And yet, he couldn't look up. Suguru! He flinched when the warm hands touched his shoulders, a strangled sob getting caught in his throat. Please, no. The hands disappeared. Sorry. I'm not going to hurt you, I swear. I want to help. The voice. Soothing, warm and caring, like always. Chica? Despite not trusting his own mind at that moment, he looked up, more tears rolling down his cheeks when Enoshita smiled at him. Yeah, I'm here. You're safe, I promise. Chica. Shh. It's okay. Breathe. Take a deep breath. Together, okay? Long inhale, long exhale. He shakily followed Enoshita's lead, desperately gripping the offered hand. That's it. Keep going. You're doing great. There. Shh. Don't worry about anything now. Just breathe. No, he might. Enoshita visibly paused. He? The guy in the mask. He was here. He might... He couldn't continue, the image of the stranger still being around closing his throat. Enoshita quickly grabbed his shoulders, the touch grounding him back into reality. Someone was here? Tasha managed just a weak nod. He just appeared behind me and the gun, Okay, shh, everything is fine. Stay here for a while, alright? I'll take a look. He was gone before Dasha managed to stop him or tell him to be careful. He waited in the relative dark, wishing nothing more than to turn on the lights. But his body refused to listen, leaving him helpless crumpled on the floor. Then Enoshita was back, gently caressing his cheeks. It's okay. I checked everything and no one's here. And it doesn't seem like anything disappeared either. Dasha froze, dread churning in his stomach. I swear I'm telling the truth. He was here. I'm not making it up. Please, you have to believe me. I do believe you, I swear. I would never doubt you. Definitely not when it scared you so much. Maybe it has something to do with those break-ins you talked about. Break-ins. You should have checked. You should have done something. What a coward you are. I don't know if he took anything. I wanted to take a look, but I'm sorry. I should have done something. I know. I'm sorry. Shh. It's okay. I don't care if he took anything. I'm just glad he didn't do anything to you. Take a deep breath, okay? I'll call Yuji and Ryu to come home. And then I'll make you hot chocolate. Sounds good? Yeah. He closed his eyes when Enoshita leaned their foreheads together, the shiver running through his body reassuring him that his boyfriend was indeed with him, holding him and shielding him against the darkness surrounding them. Awesome. Come on now, let's get you to a more comfortable place. Barely a few minutes passed before the main door flew open for the first time, and the hurricane in the form of Terushima rushed straight to Daishio seated on the couch. What happened? Is everyone alright? Sugu. Enoshita stopped him before he could reach the couch. Slow down. His voice was gentle but firm, carrying a silent warning. Daishio had heard Enoshita use it numerous times, and it never failed. Even now, Terushima immediately stepped back, guilt flashing in his eyes. Sorry, I want to make sure you are okay. It's fine, Chika. Like a dog let from the leash, Terushima was by his side in a flash, his arms wrapped around his body, firm yet so careful Daishio almost wanted to cry again. Even in the moments he worried so much, Yuji never forgot to hug him in a way he found comfortable. What Chika said, that something broke in here and held a gun to your head. I was so worried when he told me. Are you really okay? Please don't keep things to yourself. Not this. I need to know. We need to know. Daishio looked up just as Tanaka threw his back on the floor, stopping uncertainly on the other end of the couch. Taking a leap, Daishio reached his hand to him, tugging lightly down. Tanaka understood, and soon Daishio was surrounded by warmth that had no equal. Fucking creep! Who breaks into a house and holds a gun to someone's head? He patted Daishio's hand. Do you think it was a real gun? I couldn't tell. Sounded real to me. Shaking his head, Tanaka pulled him back under his chin. Yeah, sorry. That was a stupid question. With a click of his tongue, Enoshita put a cup of steaming hot chocolate on the coffee table and settled next to Tanaka. Real or not, what sociopath breaks into a house, holds a gun to someone's head and then disappears without taking anything? Terushima hummed, his forehead scrunched as if he was deep in thought. You know, now that I think about it, doesn't it sound like that horror we watched? You know, waiting until there's only one person at home, then breaking in and holding them at gunpoint. That was the plot? You didn't say that. Because you stopped me mid-sentence, duh. So you are telling me that now there's some maniac running around with a gun thinking he's a horror movie villain? Great. Just great. Either way, we can't leave Sugu home alone anymore. Not when that guy is outside. Do you think he could come back? They all paused, and Daishio shivered, instinctively leaning more into the warmth radiating from Tanaka. Terushima shook his head. He pulled a candy from somewhere, stuffing it into his mouth. Damn it! And here I thought we could have a nice Halloween, and some creep has to ruin it. Sorry. Oh, no, it's not your fault. I just have to be careful from now on. Daishio slumped in Tanaka's embrace. This definitely wasn't how we imagined their first Halloween together to go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I must say, I love writing TeruShouEnnoTana. I don't know what it is about them, but I just love the dynamics I've created for them. It's so much fun, and like the options are limitless with what I have in mind. So I'm super excited about continuing the story. I'm not going to say anything else. I have that plotline outlined, so I already know where I'm going with this, and it's going to be fun for me. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!